Okay, so let's start out with the reel that pretty much everyone is interested in, and that's the SLX MGL. Now, the reel doesn't look as good in this video footage, probably due to the indoor lighting of the fishing show, but from the previous video we saw, we know out in the sunlight this reel looks super badass. So let's get to the information. Now this reel will have an aluminum frame and graphite side plates, 4+1 bearings, an 84mm finesse oriented handle. It appears to be the same handle that comes with the ALDEBARANs and the Scorpion and CURADO 70. It comes in 3 different gear ratios, 6.3, 7.2, and the extra high gear 8.2. It has a 32mm 70 capacity MGL ported spool, which features the S3D machining. And of course the big news is that it's going to have the SVS Infinity externally adjustable brakes. As you can see, the external brake adjustment is designed to look like the one on the BANTAM MGL. Now the scheduled release date for this reel is set to be in May, and from my past experience, Shimano is pretty spot on with their release dates. So if it says it's going to be released in May, it's going to be released in May. Now the bad news is that for now it appears that it's only going to be available in right hand retrieve, but I'm sure Shimano will release this in left hand sometime in the future, but it may be only the best selling gear ratios that get released in left hand. Now reading the comments of the previous video of this reel, I kind of get the impression that people think that this reel is going to come here to America. Now I'm here to tell you that I highly doubt that's going to happen. The American market SLX was just released only a few months ago, and with the features of this SLX MGL, there's no way Shimano USA is bringing this over. They need to protect the sales of the CURADO and CITICA line. So if you really want one of these, you're going to have to buy one from Japan. Now I have one on pre-order, but once again the expected release date is going to be in May, so that's still, you know, a few months off. Now this is the reel I'm most excited about from Shimano, so I can't wait to get it. And once I do, of course, I'm going to share that with you guys. Okay, so up next we have a reel that really hasn't received that much attention as far as videos being released or pictures being released, and that's the Scorpion MGL. Now as you can see in this video, the color is not quite as red looking as I thought it would be in the very few pictures that were leaked out of it. It's more of that maroonish color of the old Scorpion 1000 XT. Now personally I would have preferred it to be more red than maroon, but then again we have yet to see this reel out in sunlight so we can see the true color. So as you can see, this uses the same frame and body as the USDM CURADO 200K, and it's pretty much 9% the same reel as the CURADO K with a few differences. So let's go over what's the same. Now it has an aluminum frame with CI4 plus side plates. It's going to come in 3 different gear ratios, 6.2, a 7.4, and the extra high gear 8.5. It's going to have the brass micro module gears, the S3D machining for the spool. Of course it's going to have X-ship and the SVS Infinity externally adjustable brakes. So let's hope Shimano heard the complaints about the external brake adjustment dial being too stiff from the factory and have that adjusted with this Scorpion MGL. So now let's talk about what's different and upgraded in the Scorpion MGL versus the CURADO K. Now the Scorpion will have 1 extra bearing, so it's going to have a total of 7+1 bearings. The bearings will be the shielded anti-rust good JDM bearings, while the CURADO K only has the anti-rust bearings. Of course the big news here is that the Scorpion will have the very much wanted MGL spool, and not only that, it's going to have a smaller line capacity. It's going to feature a 150 size Shimano line capacity versus 200 for the CURADO K. So not only will the spool be lighter than the K, it's going to hold less line as well. So basically the Scorpion MGL has all the makings to be a CURADO K and a CURADO DC killer. Of course, I'm going to put that to the test when I get mine. Now I do have one on pre-order and the expected release date is in April. So it's only, what, a couple of months away. Of course, this reel is not going to be coming to America to compete against the CURADO K. So if you want one, you're going to have to order it from Japan. Now as usual, when I get mine, I'm definitely going to share it with you guys. Okay, so let's get to the 2019 Antares. Now this is the most promoted baitcaster by Shimano for this year. It's replacing the aging 2012 Antares, and yes, Shimano USA has confirmed that this is coming to America. More than likely to be released at the Bassmaster Classic this year, which I believe is in March. And in fact is already on Shimano USA's website. There's no official price just yet, but I expect it to be at least $500 if not more. So let's get to the information. Now it's got a magnesium frame and more than likely aluminum side plates because of the weight. It's going to have the 10+1 bearings, and of course they're going to be the shielded anti-rust bearings. The first level of micromodule gears, which are more than likely going to be brass, once again because of the weight. It's going to have X-Ship, of course. It's going to have that second generation silent tune that features an O-ring instead of a spring. Now also it's going to feature the newer SVS Infinity brakes, and it's going to have a very much welcome larger external adjustment dial that's going to be on the side plate instead of on the bottom like the previous Antares. And I really love how the dial looks with its red position indicator, and it kind of breaks up the monotony of the previous Antares monolithic side plate. So what's different is obviously going to be that MGL3 spool, which has been shortened 2 millimeters from 36 to 34 and narrowed 3 millimeters going from 22 to 19. And they've also stated that the spool walls are going to be ultra thin, even thinner than the previous spools for further weight reduction thanks to the S3D machining. Other than that, the only thing I see that's somewhat new tech is the spool tension knob. The center section doesn't move when you turn it, only the outer machined ring, and that's kind of cool. But overall, it's supposed to be much smaller than the previous Antares, but disappointingly it didn't lose that much weight despite of that. Now I do plan on getting this reel, but I'm not sure when though. The reel seems to be a great caster even with lightweight lures. In fact, in the video where that SLX MGL battled the Antares DC, Takuma Hata casted the new Antares with the same lipless crankbait and reached 92 meters. So very impressive considering the much smaller spool it has versus the Antares DC. Now, in case you were wondering, it will come in left and right hand retrieve and come in two gear ratios, 6.2 and 7.4. And it's strange that Shimano elects not to give this reel an extra high gear ratio. But once I get mine, of course, I will be sharing it with you guys. Okay, so the final bait casting reel we're going to talk about is this new Calcutta Conquest DC round reel. It's based off the Calcutta Conquest platform, so it has the S-compact body design where the palm side plate is smaller than the handle side plate, so you can have a reel with bigger spool capacity and bigger, heavier duty gears that palms like a much smaller reel. Now, as you can see, it's silver instead of gold, and the machining is different on the top plate and the side plate. It still has the 12+1 ball bearings, first level micromodule gears in brass, X-ship, silent tune, S3D, machining for the spool, etc. But the big news is this DC model now has an MGL spool and of course the new DC digital control braking system. Now, I was initially critical of the new DC brakes, which are a version of the IDC5 DC brakes found on the less expensive METANIUM and Scorpion DC. The main change is that in each line mode you have adjustments of 1 to 4, but each mode will also feature what they call the new wind mode. So that's pretty interesting. That means you won't have to open the side plate up and stick it in fluorocarbon mode to get the maximum braking profile. But I wonder how effective it will actually be. Now, it will be available in March for right-handers and May for left-handers. And for now, it will only come in 1 gear ratio, which is surprisingly low, 4.8 to 1, and initially come in only a 200 size Shimano line capacity. So that tells me this reel is made for cranking. Now, personally, I won't be getting this reel because I think it's a step backwards in looks versus the previous model. I don't really like the machining on the palm side plate, and having bought the Conquest BFS round reel, I found out I don't like the round reel ergonomics. Plus, this reel will be well over 500 bucks. So with that being said, I seriously doubt Shimano USA will be bringing this over to America, and I don't see it on Shimano USA's website. Okay, so the big focus this year for Shimano Japan, it seems, was a couple of spinning reels, the Vanquish and the new flagship saltwater Stella. Now let's talk briefly about the saltwater Stella. Now, just by looking at it, you really can't tell the difference between it and the previous model at first glance, which makes no sense to me. They should have at least changed the color or the spool porting machining. I think that might potentially confuse new buyers into thinking that there's really nothing new about this new saltwater Stella versus the old model. But of course, Shimano rarely comes out with new models without making some kind of significant changes. So the big marketing theme for this new saltwater Stella is called Infinite Power. And they claim this infinite power is achieved through what they call infinity drive. Now, the claim is that it takes 30% less rotational torque to turn the handle. Of course, it has a host of other high-end features like a metal frame and stem and even an aluminum rotor. So there's no CI4 Magnum Light rotors for these reels, as it's designed to take on, much bigger and harder fighting saltwater fish. Now, this is coming to America and is already listed on Shimano's USA website. And as far as price, I'm sure it's going to start out at well over $1,000 for the small models. Okay, so the final significant reel release is the new 3rd generation Vanquish spinning reel. This reel is positioned right below the top of the line Stella FJ as far as freshwater spinning reels go. So the big story with this is the lightness of the Vanquish. And the 1000 and 2000 sizes are the lightest freshwater spinning reels in the world right now, from what I've researched, weighing in at only 145 grams, beating out the previous Vanquish and the current DAIWA Exist LT by almost half an ounce. Now, they achieved this by using a magnesium body and a CI4 Plus Magnum Light rotor. Also, they ditched the metal handle and replaced it with the CI4 Plus handle. If you look at the handle, it has a marble effect, kind of like the unpainted Zion on some of the DAIWA T3 reels. Other than that, it's basically gotten a lot of trickle-down technology from the STELLA FJ, like the long stroke spool for farther casting, the micro module 2 gears, silent drive, and a one-piece titanium bell wire. It also features 11+1 bearings. The scheduled release date is in March sometime, and I don't think this is coming to America because it's not on Shimano USA's website, and plus I don't think they have enough room in the lineup to justify another $500+ spinning reel, because the EXSENCE is already here. So if you want one of these, you're definitely going to have to import these from Japan. Okay, so far as rods go, the only entirely new rod line I saw were the new Scorpion rods made to match the new Scorpion reels. The thing about these rods is that they seem to be made to be travel rods, because I don't see any one-piece models on the website. They have a standard 2-piece for both spinning and bait casting, and then they have a 5-piece for both spinning and bait casting. So they are definitely being designed to travel easily on planes, as well as, you know, long hikes to remote fishing spots. That seems to be a trend in Japan lately, which is multi-piece rods. The new rods do feature an upgraded blank featuring the Spiral X and High Power X wrap, while the old ones did not. I don't think these rods will come to America though. Well, that's going to wrap up the new 2019 Shimano Japan releases. Now, of course, there was much more that came out overall at the fishing show, but these were the products that I was the most interested in. Now all we have to do is just wait until the one that you want gets released. Okay guys, thanks a lot.